All right, let's do this, man. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always OU related, college football related, sports related. We have a good time, except for tonight. Almost like Iowa State, only worse. Really, I mean, honestly, man, like 28-21 in overtime, and I don't like being the guy who says, hey, back in April when I said that this was going to be a bad game, when I said that this was going to be the scariest game on the schedule, that this is the trap game, and people point their finger at you and say, you full of it, you don't know what you're talking about, that this isn't the game that you think it's going to be, this Army team ain't that good. It's a lot like FAU, where you're expecting them to do things that they're not capable of doing this year because they lost Ahmad Bradshaw, and 10 wins, and flex bone, but this is Oklahoma, and what did we get for our trouble, man? What do we get? Huh? We got a ball game that we didn't ask for, honestly, and I'm sure that folks are going to bring it up in the chat, because how can you not? But I ain't going to do it. I'm going to wait for you to do it, because I've been saying it, man. I've been saying it. And I don't know what else to say about it except what I've been saying. Look, Army rushed for 339 yards on the defense, okay? The same defense gave up 183 yards rushing in the first half. Perspective, Duke, the Duke Blue Devils, the Fighting Krzyzewskis, stopped Army at 168 yards for the game, man. Kelvin Hopkins, 25 carries, 102 yards. And it's more than that. Like, we can talk about the stats, and I know there's a lot of folks that are like, yeah, stats. What stats don't tell a story. You know what the story was? The story was when Army needed 3 or 4 yards, they got 3 or 4 yards. The story was Army blowing the defensive line off the ball. Straight up. Just big boy and Neville Gallimore, Amani Bledsoe, Ronnie Perkins. Kenneth Mann had 11 tackles and a pick. But even he got blown up, man. And Kenneth Murray Jr. and Curtis Bolton were having to do all the work of tackling. They had 51 tackles between them. And on any other night, you could talk about this game being a really big one for Kenneth Murray Jr. and Curtis Bolton. I mean, Curtis Bolton tied what was the previous school record for tackles in a game, and Kenneth Murray broke it. And that record had stood since 1981. Jackie Shipp set that record in the same season where he had 189 tackles. But that ain't the story. The story is the defense. Again, you know, we had a lot of people that just hit me up in Twitter and in the comments talking about, yo, RJ, I think you've been wrong about the defense, man. How you feel about the defense now? Look what they did against FAU. Look what they did against UCLA. And then they showed signs against Iowa State. And then Army just showed up with their 5 plays in the playbook and said, we're going to run it. We're going to run option. We're going to run dive. And we're going to run them well. And if you can stop them, you can stop them. If you can't, we're going to eat you alive. They had the ball for 44 minutes of a 60-minute game. Like, OU had a hard time you felt for the offense because they couldn't get back on the field. They were probably cold, man. There's a lot to unpack in this game. So let's just start from the top. And the chat is going to die kind of fast, so I'll try to catch up on the roll call as we go. But Tim's already in here with the stop blaming Mike Stoops. Fine, Tim. Fine. Who do you want to blame, Tim? Who do you want to blame? Who do you want to blame? Do you want to blame Kenneth Murray, who had 28 tackles? Do you want to blame Curtis Bolton, who had 23? Do you don't want to blame Robert Lane, $10 super chat? Offense stuffed at the goal line. Right. You know, do you want to blame the offensive line that got stuffed at the goal line? Do you want to blame Trey Sermon, who carried the ball 18 times for 119 yards, averaged 6.6 yards per clip? Do you want to blame Kyler Murray, who was 11-15 for 165 with 3 TDs and a pick? Do you want to blame Hollywood Brown, who didn't have any catches at all tonight? Not a single one. 0. Your best wide receiver. No catches against the Army. Who do you want to blame, Tim? Somebody got to take the fall. I didn't play. You didn't play. Who do you want to blame? You know, and that's blame no one. Okay, blame no one. Who would you blame if OU had lost this game? Huh? You would not blame anybody? You just, okay, fine. You go right ahead with that, fam. The big question is, where is the defensive line? Same defensive line was the one that Lincoln Riley said played outstanding football against Iowa State, and I agree with that. Because Iowa State had 7 in coverage, 7 blocking for Zeb Nolan, right? They were running 2 and 3 man routes. You can make an argument that 1 sack that they got, they earned. Same defensive line was out against Army. You tell me, right? I saw Neville Gallimore on his stomach. I saw him getting blown off the ball. I understand the double teams, but that's also what the job is in this scheme. The job is to take on double teams. But I can't really pick out a play where Neville Gallimore got penetration, where Amani Bledsoe got penetration, where Kenneth Mann got penetration, right? I saw an option that ran well. I saw 2 guards out in front, like I'm used to seeing Bill Bedenbaugh's offensive line have 2 guards out in front. I saw pulling guards coming around the corner, cleaning up Khalil Houghton, right? Cleaning up Ryan Jones, cleaning up Parnell Motley, Trey Norwood, Buki. Like, I get you. You don't want to play the blame game. Fine. You tell me what went wrong. I'm reading the chat. Y'all tell me what went wrong. What do you see? Let's start with that. Zachary says, Army fought tooth and nail till the very end. It is not a pretty win, but it's still one. It's true. Oklahoma's 4-0. Perfect in the win-loss column, if not in their play. Okay, we'll take that. Lloyd, I see you. A win is a win. Oh, okay. We said that all the way to the Rose Bowl. Then it wasn't a win. Then it was a loss in double OT. We also said that, up until Iowa State. And then it was a loss that nearly kept Oklahoma out of the college football playoff, despite winning the Big 12 championship and beating TCU twice, who lost to Texas, by the way, today. Let me see. Sean Stapleton, you just chat's going by real fast, so I'm trying to catch them as they go. Craig Walker, it seemed like the defensive line just played the gap. They didn't try to penetrate at all, just hold the gap. Which you can make an argument is the technique that they're taught to play. And if they're playing the technique they're taught to play, then that's Mike Stoops' scheme. So if Neville Gallimore, Monty Bledsoe, Dylan Fa-Matau, Kenneth Mann, Ronnie Perkins are all just playing the way that they're taught to play, is that not scheme? Is that not Mike? But again, we're not blaming anybody, right? That's not what we're doing tonight. Highlight greatness. A win is a win. It can be a bad win. For those of you that didn't buy the pay-per-view, you don't see how bad that looked. So I get that. But I also understand that even if you bought it, 28-21 is a win for Oklahoma. Fine. Take that. We got dudes, though. Maybe if we made plays, we had 2 scary games. Thank God we ain't going to play that option again until next year. But also, if you know that you can do this on Oklahoma, if you know you can run the football, why not just run the football if you're in the Big 12? Baylor's got to be watching this tape going, so we need to hand the ball off. That's what we need to do. Or at least that's what I came away thinking. Because it's not just this game, right? Because Lincoln had said on Monday, if you don't tackle, you won't play in the game. Y'all tell me how many folks you saw with missed tackles. Okay? And we'll go from there. See, Brendan McPherson. Army practically had the ball the entire game. Time of possession was insane. 44 minutes. 44 minutes. That's how long they had the game. How much worse can our defense... Oh, missed it. Went by too fast. Trapper, what do you got? They kept them from having to rely on the D-backs to tackle. How's that? How do you figure that? I mean, Curtis Bolton and Kenneth Murray Jr. better grade out with A's. Because they were everywhere, but they didn't bring down everything. A lot of that was gang tackling. I didn't see too many open field tackles. I saw a bunch of guys having to pitch in to bring it down, Kel Walker and Kelvin Hopkins in particular. Game was too close. That's the other thing. You're the number 5 team in the country playing against Army. Not a team that's ranked, not a team that you expect to challenge a top 5 program, right? So a lot of that is about also playing in your backyard. Has anybody else forgot that? You know, the last time Oklahoma played this badly in its own backyard, it lost to Iowa State, right? And maybe Iowa State was a better football team than the Army football team that played today. But this Oklahoma was a 30-point favorite. 3-0. The game was tied at the end of regulation. Tell me how that's a good look for anybody named Oklahoma. I don't see it, man. I don't see it. And this is the way that I called the game. I said this was a trap game. I said the flex bone is tough. I said the cadets are tougher. People didn't acting like I didn't know what I was talking about. Let me see. What else we got here? Every year we hear about the much improved D, but again, as the year progresses, same old Y. Yeah, okay. Baylor will try it. They tried it last year. They nearly got Oklahoma scalped last year. So don't tell me about Baylor trying it. All right? At the rate that Oklahoma's playing, Iowa State, bad. Army, worse. You can only bend so much before you snap playing this kind of defense. That's what I'm getting at here, man. This win is a win. Okay, fine. That's great if you play, I guess, in the Big Ten or the Pac-12. That's not great if you're looking to play for national titles. Alabama is leaving no doubt. Georgia is leaving no doubt. Clemson is leaving no doubt. You know, this is you only get so many opportunities. And in Oklahoma, where people believe that the Big 12 ain't a great league to begin with, you're already behind the 8 ball. Alabama can lose to Auburn, not play in the SEC championship game, and still get into the college football playoff. You cannot do that at Oklahoma. If this game goes, if Kelvin Hopkins and that halfback pitch, that halfback throwback actually connects the way that it was schemed to go up, because it was a great scheme, it was great design, the game's over. Because Army would have gone for 2, and they would have got it because you couldn't stop them on goal line. When it was 4th and short, 3rd and short, Army was getting everything. That is not a good look if you are the University of Oklahoma's defense, no matter how you draw it up. Let me see. What else we got here? Nah, tonight is not the day to go after Tim Kish. His linebacker showed up, man. There are 4 linebackers that got the start. 3 of them finished in double-digit tackles. Altogether, let's see, 23 plus 28 is 51, plus 15, 66 tackles between 3 linebackers. That'll get it done. Those guys were where they needed to be. Didn't see much out of the defensive line, though. Duke blew out Army and Baylor. All right. Army had almost double the snaps of OU. Army honestly controlled the entire game with its clock management, and OU couldn't get off the field. I see no lies in what Bradley just wrote. I see no lies there. You know, for real. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. we got jokes here. Bring back Gary Gibbs. Let me see. And Kyler turned the ball over, right? We can all agree that. Kyler threw a pick. An ill-advised pick. A pick where he either sailed it, or Hollywood ran the wrong route, or Hollywood gave up on the ball, whatever you want to say. But also, if Kyler Murray is not the quarterback, you don't win this football game. That man made more plays with his legs tonight than he made all season. Flat out. If Kyler Murray did not do the thing that people don't want him to do, like take off and run and risk getting hit or injured, OU doesn't win this football game. So I don't see how picking on the offense is the way to go here. The offense barely had the rock. And when they had the rock, it was Kyler Murray or Trey Sermon doing the Lord's work out there, man. It looked good at the beginning. Grant Calcaterra was wide open in coverage, right? And then Army got the football. And Army said, nah, we're going to play tennis. We're going to hold serve. That's what we're going to do. You know, I'm watching this game with my folks, and my folks are great, and they're absolute joys to watch football games with because they're as emotional as I am. And my dad saw Army get the ball back with like 12 minutes left in the 4th quarter, and he says, I don't think Oklahoma's going to get the ball back because it was like 99 yards, right? So it's just the kind of drive you want if you're Army because you know that you can move the ball, you can move it at your pace, and you know that there's nothing Oklahoma can do about it. Like, that was scary. If Army can do that, what to say that Oklahoma State can't do that? That TCU can't do that? That Texas can't do that, man? Who's to stop those teams? And West Virginia, who's to stop that team if you can't stop Army? That's the question I want answered here. Let me see. What else we got in here? Win by 1 or 100's a win, better than a loss. Okay, sure. You roll with that. Roll with that. If that's how you want to live, you go ahead. You live that way. You live with a win as a win. I don't see how that mentality is going to win you a national championship, but you go right ahead with that, right? Let me see. Where was Broyles? That's a good question. Didn't see any Justin Broyles. Saw a lot of Khalil Houghton. Saw a lot of Buki. Robert Barnes still out because he's hurt. Also, after not seeing Ryan Jones at Iowa State, saw him most of the day today. Right? Didn't see too much 4.25. It seems like Mike honestly has schemes where players fit a scheme that he wants to run, a look that he wants to run, and they don't play the other way. Ryan Jones fits the 3-4 look, and Justin Broyles fits the 4-2-5 look. That seems to be the big takeaways for me after watching these last 2 games, where he employed a 4-2-5 against Iowa State and he employed a 3-4 against Army. And it doesn't seem that there's too much crossover except for a handful of guys. But the line seems to stay the line. The defensive line seems to stay the defensive line. So I don't see how you can really make excuses for the defensive line this week, because it's basically the same defensive line you saw last week. The same defensive line that everybody praised against Iowa State is the defensive line that was getting pushed around by a bunch of guys that aren't going to play football on Sunday. Right? A bunch of guys that are going to be in dirt and sand overseas on Sunday. That's what happened. I saw Nelva Gallimore getting beat. I saw Monty Bledsoe getting beat. I saw Ronnie Perkins getting beat. I saw Dylan Fa'amata pick up a defensive holding penalty on a run play. But you tell me where I was wrong there. You tell me. Leonard Cooper, what you got? Mike Stoops is to blame, no doubt. I'm just tired of him. Okay. It's one person. Brian Johnson got a picture with Buki after the game. He's down to earth, cat. He had a good game. I'm glad. Very cool. I'm glad the guys being recruited at Oklahoma are still down to be cool. Dieter Cross, where was Trey Brown? Good question. Good question. We asked that earlier about Trey Brown. We asked it about Justin Broyles. We asked it about a bunch of guys that we've seen to be playmakers. Specifically, where was Trey Brown on kick returns? Because we saw Buki back there. And we didn't see any Marcellus Sutton. Right? We didn't see any Marcellus Sutton. We didn't see any Trey Brown. We saw Buki returning kickoffs, which is odd. And I'm sure we'll get an answer for that with Lincoln in the postgame. Bro, we got some Texas fans in here or something. Sheesh. I don't know. I think there's a lot of folks that... Let me see. Clark. What you got, Clark? I just missed Clark. I'm looking for it, Clark. Or drop it in there again, man. Yeah, it went by too fast. Let me see. What was up with the second half play calling? First drive was nothing but pass. Most of the fourth quarter was nothing but run. And in the last 30 seconds from the 15, they elected to set up for a field goal. Well, I think that Lincoln Riley had utter faith in Austin Seibert. And honestly, that's the way to go because of what Austin Seibert did against Iowa State. If not for him being the fail-safe, you can make an argument that Iowa State had an opportunity to win that football game. If not, get themselves in great position for overtime, right? So I don't fault Lincoln on that. I don't fault Lincoln on giving Austin Seibert, the center of the field, giving an opportunity to make that kick. I don't see any problem with that. But as far as starting off throwing the ball, where they exactly were running, they weren't really running the ball real well, dog. They weren't running the ball real well, right? There was a lot of folks yelling about how Trey Sermon was running scared or running hesitant. I say he's running more like Le'Veon Brown. He's being patient in what he does. And late in the game, you could see it was getting good. He was starting to gas some folks. So I don't really have a problem with the play calling on the offensive side of the ball, especially late, as Lincoln just said, "Hey, Kyler, go save us." That's what it was late into the game. It was, "Yo, Kyler, do your Kyler thing. I'm going to get out of my way or get out of your way. So if you need to take off and run, take off and run." And I like that. That's Lincoln giving Kyler the offense. That's what I think needed to happen. See, what the hell was Buki returning punt? Again, I'm sure we'll get an answer for that, but it'd be nice to know where Trey Brown was. Because this is also the first time that the special teams didn't really have a dent on the game, right? Buki had a nice return, and he looked good back there, but that's also curious. John IBN says, "I'm very concerned going forward." Yeah. You ain't the only one, dog. So there's a lot of folks in the chat tonight that are down with the win as a win as the thing on their headstone about this game. That ain't gonna be on my headstone about this game, but there's a lot of folks that believe that, and that's how you live. That's cool. Yeah, Baker was there. Too bad he couldn't come play, because there was a time when it was like, "Yo, can we sneak him in there?" It was looking that way. Clark, talk about Seibert and the choice for Neal for a kick. So, again, I don't see a problem with taking a knee to give Austin Seibert a chance to win the game with time running out based on what Austin Seibert did last week against Iowa State. Okay, Oklahoma was in a tough spot. Austin Seibert came in as the fail-safe, iced the game. That's what happened. And I think that's your senior, right? That's your guy. That's the guy we know has an opportunity to punt or kick in the NFL next year. He has to be one of your best weapons this year. And Lincoln Riley has been on tape saying, I think you can make an argument that he's one of our best players, and you can make an argument that last week was his best week kicking the ball. So prior to him missing that kick, I don't have a problem with that because I thought, okay, cool. This is how you want to win the game. Then go win the game with time running out. Because the more Kyler held onto the ball, the more I just saw bad things that could happen, which is weird. I was almost expecting to see a fumble late or a pick late as they got into the last minutes of the fourth quarter and even into overtime. It just felt like that kind of game because Army was getting everything they wanted until Kenneth Mann came up with that pick. And even then, OU couldn't make the field goal. So I don't have a problem with taking the knee and trying to get 3 and get a win. As it stands, that ain't the way that it went. Kyler Murray did his Superman thing, and there's a lot of folks that get to say a win is a win because he did his Superman thing. But my other part about that, there's a lot of folks out here that were yelling about how Kyler Murray shouldn't be running the football or leading the team in rushing. And I guess, they get what they want because he didn't lead the team in rushing. But I'll be doggone if those 7 carries for 71 yards, Oklahoma didn't need every single one of them. That's something else to think about. Defense is not fine. No, the defense is far from fine. The defense is far from fine. Y'all can say a win is a win. You cannot say the defense is fine. You can't say that. Let me see. So some of y'all are giving yourselves away as to not having watched the game and having saw the score and just showed up. I'm skipping y'all, so you know. Let's see. We shouldn't expect our defense to be better until next year, I guess. He's making a joke there about what OU fans have been saying since Mike returned. But I'll let y'all have that. Even with the victory, I see this game as embarrassing. That's how a lot of people feel. Check Twitter. Craig Walker says Oklahoma will drop a place or two. I'm not concerned about the AP rankings. I play with the idea of making a video predicting the college football playoff selection committee's rankings. But if OU stays undefeated, that'll work itself out. I'm not worried about that. That's where the win is a win thing actually falls in line for me. Because if you look at it from a ranking standpoint and from a big picture standpoint, from a sky view of college football standpoint, they're absolutely right. A win is a win. But if you're watching OU football closely and you're wanting to see improvement every single game, that win is a win stuff doesn't follow for you. And maybe it's because there are some OU fans that hold Oklahoma and Oklahoma's defense to a higher standard than a win is a win. And maybe they're wrong to do that, but that's everybody's personal prerogative. And it is my prerogative, as I was raised in my household, to say, okay, yeah, a win is a win from a sky view, but you better fix what's broken. That's what I'm taking from this. You better fix what's broken. And you better diagnose it quick, fast, and in a hurry, because the non-conference schedule is over now. Right? You're 1-0 in Big 12 play, you're 3-0 in non-conference, you're 4-0 on the season, and now you got to win every game you play. Flat out. Let's see, what else we got in here? Did I miss that one? Yeah, Leonard says, real question here. Does Oklahoma practice tackling because past 2 weeks has just been downright terrible? D-line needs to get tougher. Well, to your point, a lot of teams don't practice tackling the way that they did even 10 years ago because of concussion protocol being such a big deal. If you get them concussed in practice, they can't play, right? And if you get them hurt in practice, they can't play. So there are a lot of programs, not just Oklahoma, but across the country that don't practice tackling the way that they used to. Because they can't, because, again, if you get them hurt, it's not like you can go sign somebody in the NFL. They're just done. And Oklahoma already has its share of guys that are hurt. Defensive tackle Michael Thompson, already miss him. He ain't even played. Starlin Baldwin at corner, miss him. He ain't even played. Right? Jalen Redmond is an illness. That's not an injury, but you miss him because he ain't even played. Prentice McKinney, Chance Sylvie, both safeties. You miss them because they're injured. So you really can't take that risk. At the same time, you want to at this point. You want to. You want to say, maybe this week we forget scheme and we tackle, but you can't do that because if you don't scheme, you're going to get beat. Right? But also there is this argument that I kind of stick with. If you are recruited to Oklahoma, folks believe that you can tackle. Right? That's what the stars mean. Stars mean you can tackle. 4 or 5 stars, you play defense, you can tackle. Or at least that's the assumption that is made. But if you can't tackle, maybe we should teach tackling. And I think they do teach tackling, but you got to be careful. You got to be careful. On the flip side, I don't know how you teach tackling if guys are throwing their shoulders at other people. Like, I can forgive a missed tackle where somebody wrapped somebody's arms around them and did their best to pull them to the ground, and then they just broke loose. You got big time. Okay, fine. But a lot of the missed tackles at Oklahoma aren't guys wrapping their arms around other guys. They're guys throwing their shoulders at somebody and shoving them. Like, a shove is not a tackle. A tackle is your face mask in somebody's chest, your arms wrapped around their hamstrings, and you're doing your best to pull them to the ground. Right? So I think that there are plenty of guys at Oklahoma that can tackle, but technique and tackling, those are one and the same. So if you got guys like Buki, you got guys like Trey Norwood, you got guys like Khalil Houghton, you got guys not named Ryan Jones, Kenneth Murray Jr., Mark Jackson, or Curtis Bolton not wrapping their arms around him, yeah, that's something that's easily fixed. Go wrap your arms around somebody. I see you throw your shoulder at somebody else, that's a loaf. And whatever the consequences are for loaves, do that. See what else got. Raw material. You guys need to realize that triple option is much harder to stop than what they're used to. You're acting like they gave up 62 points. Nah, dog. I'm acting like stopping the triple option with more talented players should not be the task that it was tonight. That's what I'm acting like. I'm acting like the guys that are going to West Point don't have aspirations of playing in the NFL. I'm acting like the guys playing linebacker and defensive line at Oklahoma have aspirations of playing in the NFL. I'm also acting like the playbook is rather thin over there, Army. So it ain't like they're scheming you out of position. It's simple. Watch the ball, hit them where they're at. That's it. Right? I mean, a lot of this was just how much do you want it? And I was saying this in the first half. It looked like there were some defensive players for Oklahoma in particular who were shocked about how much Army wanted it. A lot of this is hustle. A lot of this is hustle. A lot of this is want to. Right? I mean, it's as much coaching as it is want to. I'm 5'5", 140 pounds. Right? But I'm full of want to. Hustle costs nothing. Hustle is why the channel continues to evolve with production. That's got nothing to do with talent. That's got everything with trying to do the best I can every time I go out there. And if best I can needs technique, it needs work, and it did. For those of you that are new to the channel, go back and watch these things where I'm making them with my iPhone. You know, go back and watch these things where I'm holding them to my face. There's lots of hustle in those. There's not a lot of technique. I'm still learning it myself. But you can see me getting better. And that's the point that I make about OU. Get better. Improve. There's a lot of folks that were saying that Oklahoma needs to be the best defense in the country. I was one of them in January, and then I was like, okay, fine. Let's be realistic. Let's close the gap. Let's close the gap on the offense, because the offense continues to be the best in the country, if not in the top 5 every time they go out since Lincoln Riley has got here. But close the gap, right? Go from the 60s and 80s in total defense, or 101 in the S&P Plus, to 60, to 40, right? Get better. Improve every game. Nobody's asking for these kids to make the leapfrog to the top 5 this year. But you are asking them to fill, and you are asking them to put their face mask in chest, and you are asking them to wrap their arms up around folks, and you can see improvement in different aspects of the defense. There's a lot of folks that were banging on Kenneth Murray Jr. last year. And I can make a great argument that he's your second best defensive player this year as a sophomore. And the best player is Curtis Bolton, a guy that wasn't even supposed to start this year because he wants to. He's hustle. He's the reason Caleb Kelly is thinking of redshirting this year. Kenneth Mann was a 3-star recruit from Texas, and he's been balling out on the defensive line. 11 tackles from the defensive end spot and a pick. How much of this is want to? How much of this is talent? How much is this coaching? We can make an argument about it, but I would say that we haven't reached anywhere like the place that we think we should reach. I would say that improvement, lots of improvement is still left to be done. And I would also say that you would expect the defense to be further along tonight than it was against Florida Atlantic. And that was not the case. All right? That was certainly not the case. What else we got here? All right, enough with the traitors. Enough with the traitors. Stop with the name calling at each other. We're cool. All right. Let me see. What else we got in here? Man, we got Longhorn fans coming out the woodwork. Hey, we'll see y'all in a couple weeks. We'll peel your cap in a couple weeks. Sierra, tackling doesn't cover up the issues with the scheme. True story. True story. But I'm going to let y'all make that argument, right? I'm going to let y'all make that argument. I'm just going to say Mike Stoops got an extension. Mike Stoops got a raise. Mike Stoops runs 4.25 this year. Remember? 4 down lineman. Remember? Right? Mike Stoops had a top 10 defensive class, and this year's class could be top 5. Probably will be top 5. Got 4 defensive ends coming in. Right? Yeah, okay. Okay, let's see. New football versus old school football. Old school is not allowed anymore. Oh, old school football is allowed. Look at what Michigan did today. Michigan ran 2 tight ends and 3 tight ends, and Karan Higdon peeled Nebraska's cap. All right, at one point the game was 46-0 Michigan. Big boy old school football still works, and they play it all over the country. They play it at Alabama. They play it at Auburn. They played it at Michigan. They played it at Texas today against TCU. Right? The same TCU team that put up 511 yards total offense against Ohio State got stomped by Texas. Good God. Let me see. What else we got? Did anyone of you see Buki return kicks in high school? He can be the next Tyrann Mathieu. Yeah, sure. But Trey Brown was already doing a pretty good job. There's just a lot of folks that want to know where he was. 21 points to an Army team that, let me see, somebody said something about Khalil Hall and I missed it. Chat went by too fast, dog. My bad. Let's see, I saw too many bump attempts instead of tackling. It's a want thing. True story. Let me see. There it is. I was at the game, no heart up front from the D tonight. All right. Let me see. Do you think that the look of this result hurts Kyler's chances at a Heisman Trophy? He played great, but the results look bad. I think it's still September. Saquon Barkley was the leader, the far and away leader at this time last year. People forget that too. I think you don't start counting Heisman ballot votes until the second week of November. That's what I think. Let me see. All right, bro. You keep saying that, and I'm gonna remove you. Don't curse in the chat. All right? You curse in the chat, I'm gonna hide you. We don't do cursing in the chat. Leonard Cooper. Last question besides for the linebackers, do you see the defense improving, or is it just like every year? Look, Florida Atlantic, they look great. UCLA, they look great. Iowa State, they look suspect because of missed tackles. Tonight, they look bad. Right? So you can make a good argument that it's just that they peaked and went down. Right? But there's 4 games, 2 good, 2 games are good, 2 games are basically bad. Let's see what they do against Baylor. Then let's see what they do against Texas. Right? And let's go from there. Because the slate doesn't get easier. Texas, you get Baylor, you get Texas, you get Kansas State, you get TCU. Tech beat Oklahoma State tonight. Right? Oklahoma State's 4.25 was supposed to be good, but the freshman quarterback, Alec Bowman, went to work on Oklahoma State tonight. West Virginia peeled Kansas State's cap. Right? Doesn't get easier from here. That's kind of my point. Army's not the best team Oklahoma's going to see. That's really what I'm getting at here. Thank goodness for Kenneth Murray and Curtis Bolton. Amen. I mean, look, I know folks don't want to hear that, but I saw Kenneth Murray Jr. everywhere. And I saw Curtis Bolton everywhere. And a lot of folks, myself included, were asking for better linebacker play, and you got it. Mark Jackson, Kenneth Murray Jr., Curtis Bolton, Ryan Jones doing their jobs. And I can say that from week to week. That unit has been consistent over all 4 games. And the puppy secondary still plays like puppies. They'll be good in a couple of years. They'll be really good in a couple of years. Defensive line. It's schizophrenic. I don't know where the on or off switch comes from in particular, because again, same defensive line was sacking folks, was getting into Florida Atlantic, was stopping Chris Robinson in his tracks, was destroying Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Only got to Zeb Nolan once, but that's because Matt Campbell and Iowa State had tremendous respect for what the defensive line could do, and that same defensive line was blown off the ball against Army. Again, they weren't schemed out. They were big boyed out. That's the issue. That is the worry. It's not that they were schemed out. It's that they were big boyed out, and there was no answer for it. There was none. What else you got in here? I mean, okay. Good for you. You support another team. Why are you here? I mean, if this was a college football national chat, then I would understand, but we're talking about OU Army. Let me see. Don King, what was up with the lack of time management at the end of the game? I don't see it as lack of time management, right? Especially if you're talking about what they did with Austin Seibert. I saw it as Lincoln Riley making a play to kick a field goal. And that was a play that would have won the game. And again, you have data that says that Austin Seibert makes that kick, right? That's not Lincoln Riley squib kicking. That ain't what happened there, okay? I thought it was a good strategy that didn't work, right? Just like Army had Oklahoma dead to rights on that halfback throwback. Good strategy, just didn't work, right? That's good coaching. I don't have a problem with that. Chris Council says Khalil Houghton got to go. Now, people have said that for consecutive weeks now, right? Let's see. Army's triple option is easier to deal with if you're used to playing it and have prior experience. I mean, you could say that about the air raid. What's your point? Defense is defense. Defense is tackling. Defense is hitting them where they are, right? Defense is playing your assignment. And playing against the triple option is assignment football at its peak. It is hat on a hat. It is actually as simple as it gets, right? There's no mesh play. There's no four verticals. There's no wide receivers bending coverages or bending routes into coverages. There's no pattern matching. It's straight up man on a man, hat on a hat football. Can you tackle me? I don't see why that's hard. Right? Okay, you don't see it. Fine. That goes away after the first drive. Because you've seen every play they're going to run for the most part. You've seen 90% of the playbook on the first drive. Particularly with Army, because all they did was move it down the field on you. I don't know. That excuse doesn't wash for me. Come up with something better. Let me see. Appreciate that, Beach. 42 tackles. 42 tackles. Who had 42 tackles? 28 plus 23 is 51. Let's see. What else we got in here? We just need more headhunters. I mean, every defense can say that. Where do you want the headhunters? I mean, you want ball hogs and headhunters. Okay, fine. Cool. Go recruit them. Right? Or did we have them and they're just not there? Right? All questions that are valid to ask tonight. It's not a loss, but it kind of felt like one. Like Baylor last year. Wasn't a loss. Kind of felt like one. Let me see. Why is it OU comes out at the start of the past two seasons looking like a top 10 defense and slowly gets worse? The competition gets better? I mean, I guess you can make an argument that they look like a top 10 defense against Ohio State, but you can also make an argument that Ohio State doesn't see Oklahoma and Oklahoma doesn't see Ohio State. Same argument people would make for Army tonight. Non-conference game. Right? Competition gets better. Everybody gets better as the season goes on. Or at least that's the way it's supposed to work. That's why the rankings matter. Right? And that's why folks take into account what you do in October and November as well as what you do in September. Right? Let's give Army a lot of credit. Oh, I give them all the credit in the world. Honestly. I give them all the credit in the world. Because they showed up. They played hard. They played their scheme. But Oklahoma's talent should have overwhelmed Army. Didn't. Army's O-line got off the ball way quicker, more than OU's D-line did. And why is that? Why is that? On paper, that shouldn't happen. On paper, OU's defensive line should be in Army's backfield every snap. Why is that? That's a question worth asking. Let's see, what else we got? Not a loss, but we don't like to see struggle, especially against the teams we should dominate. That's why it feels so negative. Amen. Amen, right? Because you're watching a team like Alabama go to work on A&M, and you're watching a team like Clemson. I know folks wanted to say that they struggled against Georgia Tech, but I checked the scoreboard last time I looked, it was like 31-7. Let's go see what the score is now of that game, where folks were saying, they're playing a triple option team and they don't look too good. Let's go check on that score. Because I'd be interested to know. I think a lot of folks would be interested to know. Clemson won 49-21. 49-21. And you can argue that Georgia Tech runs a better option than Army does. So again, tell me why this is a win is the great philosophy to have coming out of this game. Tell me where that gets you tomorrow, right? You get to say, okay, well, we dodged a bullet. Nobody wants to live a life where they dodge bullets, man. You want to be the person that's firing them. You want to be Alabama and Clemson. You don't want to be the person that says, whoa, that was close. That's not what you want to do. Let me see. See, Robert said it. I don't need to say it. Robert said it. Lavon Young, OU fan in California, your show is great. I appreciate that, man. No relation, but appreciate that. A lot of youngs running around here. OU fan from Nevada. What's up, Ryan? Clemson has a best offense and a defense for the top 5. Yeah. And they're running with a true freshman at quarterback. Let's see what else got. Stephen Gordon, I feel like we won't be able to win a national championship with Mike around. Stephen said that. I'll let y'all deal with it. Wins like this will not get us into the playoff. Do you agree? If Oklahoma wins out, they're in the playoff, right? But wins like this lead you to believe that there's a loss ahead. Now, I'm not the person to go predicting losses, right? But you don't feel great coming out of this Army game. At best, you feel like you dodged a bullet, like I said. At worst, you're like, oh my God, we're going to get destroyed by somebody else. And there's room for both of those emotions tonight. There's room for both of those. Because everybody watched that game, or some of us watched that game. All of us listened to the game, except Georgia fans, Texas fans in here, just throwing stuff at the wall. And you know how you feel about it. And you know how you felt as it was going on. And I'm telling you to look at the facts of what happened, look at the facts of the stats, look at how you felt throughout the game, and you tell me how you feel about Oklahoma going forward. Right? I think that there's a lot of improvement. I think there's room for a lot of improvement. I also think that this ain't the kind of scare you want. Right? You want this scare against a ranked team. You want this scare against let's say a top 10 West Virginia. Right? That makes this much easier to swallow. 28-21, a win in overtime, that makes it much easier to swallow. Does not make it easy to swallow when you're playing a group of 5 team that's a service academy with guys that ain't going to play in the NFL next year. That's not where you want to be. That's not the life you want to live. Not when you rock the OU. That is not where you want to be. Speaking of which, for those of y'all that ain't OU fans in the chat, when you go to church tomorrow, every OU fan you know is going to be touchy. Every single one. Do not test that. Don't test that. Everybody ain't going to go to church and hear the sermon. You know what I mean? Don't test that. Going to be a lot of folks going to be extra salty, and some of them actually going to be rocking the pulpit. Just be careful. Be careful. You're going to incur somebody's wrath tomorrow. It's not going to be fun. Bill Sable, I appreciate it. Hey, Bill Sable did not get an opportunity to donate on the Super Chat. Hit me in the PayPal. Appreciate that, fam. All of this keeps going back to reinvesting in the channel, and I hope that shows up in the on-demand videos and it's showing up in the live stream, so forth, so on. I appreciate y'all. Chris Council, Ronnie Perkins should have gotten more snaps. And he will. He's a true freshman. I can understand. But I think late in the year you'll see. But also, look at it this way. Ronnie Perkins' red shirt is burnt. You know he's not redshirting this year. Buki Radley's red shirt is burnt. TJ Pledger's red shirt is burnt. You know all those guys ain't playing this year. right? Or that they are playing this year. You know that they ain't redshirting, right? So that's the way that I choose to see Ronnie Perkins playing, right? And I think it speaks volumes that guys like Ronnie Perkins, Buki Radley-Hiles, and TJ Pledger all came in 2018 class, and a guy like Caleb Kelly is thinking of redshirting after being a 2-year starter. So you can't really make the argument that there isn't an upgrade of talent, right? Which kind of makes you start looking at the scheme again, doesn't it? Let's see what else you got. RJ, if you had a chance, would you? That's moot, dog. You know? That's moot. I flew that flag all last year. Everybody either pointed and laughed or told me that the Rose Bowl wasn't a big deal. And then told me that the 2018 class that's number 10 in the country, or number 8 in the country, you know, was the reason for why Mike Stoops is going to turn it around. Still might. Defense is 4-0, just like offense is 4-0, right? Right? All right, then. Jesus, he missed mine 3 times. J-Bones. I mean, super chat then, dog. I don't miss the stuff that comes in color. And I tell people all the time, it goes by fast in post games, right? There's a lot of folks here whose names I see and I know how to spot them because they were here during the offseason, right? Curtis Schwab, RJ, or anyone that wants to chime in, you know, anybody can chime in. If Army was in the Big 12, how many conference games do you think they would win? I'll say they'll go 6-3. I think they would finish about where Kansas State finishes. Whatever Kansas State routinely does, that's as good as I think the Army football team might be. I think that's the ceiling. I don't think that, because also remember that Kansas State last year wasn't very good. Rodney Anderson had to bail Lincoln and the rest of us out to win that game late. That's the kind of game that I think you played against Army, right? And I don't think that Kansas State team was very good last year, and they really ain't very good this year. Appreciate that. Y'all can get the shirts, Fanatics, I think, right? I got a gang of Jumpman stuff because I was so hyped to get it. I even got the Jumpman shoes. I just, you never get to see my footwear because this is a talking head show. Love your channel. Army got a better push on the line almost every play. And I felt like we didn't have enough linebackers to get those outside option runs. We didn't adjust as the game went on either. All right, I don't see so many lies in that, Brian. I would say that later OU adjusted, but when they adjusted, so did Army, right? I saw folks get better at sniffing out the option, and they went to the belly dive. And then when they started to sniff out the belly dive, they went to the option. It's a real simple playbook and a real simple game plan for Jeff Monken. Also makes me wonder what he would do if Kyler Murray was his quarterback. And then I said, oh yeah, he'd be doing what Oklahoma's doing, which is winning. Dude's just special. He's so special. Let's see. D Mike. This team is not ready for Alabama. Nobody's ready for Alabama. The gap between Alabama and everybody else is pretty large today. September, but it's pretty large today. That is the scariest team that I've seen in a very long time, and I've seen a bunch of scary Alabama teams. I've seen a scary Clemson team. I've seen a scary Oklahoma team, but I haven't seen an Alabama team like that since Saban got there. And all that dude does is win national championships. So I think everybody's got a lot of ground to cover before they start talking about being in the same league as Alabama, and that includes you, Georgia. Michael Taylor says, shout out, oh man, I'm going to mess up your wife's name, Michael. Is it Geneva? Shout out to Geneva. I hope that's how you pronounce it, man. Terry! See, there was so much patriotism and respect and honor for Army expressed by OU leading up to the game. Well deserved, of course, but could it have softened the team's killer instinct? It's a good question. Because I was actually on the radio giving this a lot more weight than a lot of folks wanted to give it, which is there ain't a whole lot of folks who are in the stands or watching that game that are going to be actively rooting against Oklahoma. Or, actively rooting against Army. There's a lot of vets that were really into this game, right? That like to see their team, Oklahoma, and their team, Army, playing against each other. And I was told through the grapevine that the Army preview video was making the rounds around the Army folks, which I really appreciated because that was humbling, right? To know that folks cared enough to say, hey, this was good, and this guy has given us a shot to win. And I was telling everybody that I believed it. I'm not ever saying anything that I don't believe here. But yeah, I think that could have, because look, the game was as much about Oklahoma as it was Army. From the guys' Black Daggers parachuted in. The halftime show that the Pride did was very much about Army. There was an enormous American flag for the pregame. There were lots of vets. Sooner Sports and Fox did a really cool thing where they allowed folks to watch the game on the Armed Forces Network for free. The rest of us, if you had Cox, you paid $40. If you didn't have Cox, you paid $60 or $55 or whatever it was. So yeah, I think that could have a lot to do with it, because you're also looking at a guy who, while he's running you over, could be going overseas to fight for you. Yeah, that would soften me a little bit, and then I'd probably get hit in the mouth and I'd get mad, and then I want to go hit somebody else. So I think the first play, Terry's got a point, but after that, I'd probably be mad that somebody just hit me that hard, and then we can get back to playing football. Let me see, Bradley, what you got? Why did it seem the DBs were slow coming downhill on many of the plays in this game? Was this more players or scheme? I think it was a little both, because Parnell Motley got pump faked on the option pitch, but I also think he didn't want to get beat by the pitch man. I get that. But if you're coming downhill, come downhill with your arms out, wrapping people up. And what I saw the corners and the safeties doing coming downhill, trying to shove people out of bounds or throw their shoulders at him, and the Army guys just like, it's going to take more than that, dog. So a lot of that is just technique and want to. Do you want to actually bring this person to the ground, or do you want to make a highlight hit? Right? Because a lot of dudes are hitting the hit stick like this is Madden, and it ain't. This big boy football, where you better get jersey, you better get leg, you better get ankle, and you better trip them so that they hit the ground. Right? Because you ain't going to be able to do that, especially if you are as slight as Buki or Motley or Trey Norwood, or even Khalil Houghton, right? But it was also shocking to me that the guys that were doing the best job of wrapping people up were the bigger guys in Oklahoma's defense, like Bolton, Murray, and Mann. Thought that was interesting. John Haney, in your opinion, what will it take for Riley to pull the trigger for and fire Mike Stoops? I was at the game and absolutely no heart up front. I don't know, man. And I stopped entertaining that question, specifically after he got his extension through 2020, and he got his $30,000 raise. Lincoln says this is my guy. He says, I think we got a lot better with the recruiting, and the recruiting's picking up, and we got a lot more talent to run Mike's scheme, and we're going to be fine. And he looked good against Florida Atlantic, looked good against UCLA. And you know what? Nobody wants to hear it anymore. Everybody just wants to go, yo, it's players. It's players' fault. It's players' fault for not tackling. It's players' fault for not hustling. It's players' fault for being out of position. It's never defense coordinator. Okay, fine. Have it your way. Have it your way, man. I'm here for the long haul. But we all know how I feel about it. You can just check the playlist. You can check what I said last year. Still holds. I'm just tired of yelling it. Because all people do is yell back at me. It's like I don't know what I'm talking about. Or that I'm not watching the games. Or that I'm being too hard on it. Okay, fine. I'm being too hard on the guy who makes $1 million to coach one side of football. Sue me. Who the kids, they get 4 years. They get 4 years. If that. If they're good at what they do, they get 3. They deserve an opportunity to win a national championship. Right? Annually, $1 million annually to coach one side of football, man. Right? Come on. Okay. Yeah, come on. Let's start with a loss. How you fire someone that ain't lost? What are you talking about? Rose Bowl? Iowa State? Hello? What about you? Do you want to talk about Tavon Austin in West Virginia? You want to talk about then? Because it didn't happen then. What do you want to talk about? Stop it, Trapper. This game should not have been a nail biter. Lincoln Riley needs to do some soul searching on how to fix our defensive problems. I think Lincoln is going to fall into the camp of a win is a win and we got some stuff to fix. Because that's what I would do if I were the head coach. It wouldn't do me much good to dwell on this. Right? Because nobody's going to fire their defense coordinator in the middle of the season. And you're going to write out what you got. And you got to try to keep your morale up. So Lincoln Riley's playbook is very well and true open to everybody who wants to see. His job is to keep the team together and to keep the team winning. And he can make the argument that tonight was nasty. And it wasn't the way that he drew it up, but it was a W. I mean, I know where his head's at. And I know where Mike's head's at. I'm worried about the kids. Let me see. Yeah, we can talk about OU Baylor on Monday. We'll do the takeaways tomorrow because we'll still be talking about it over the weekend. Then we'll move on. Let me see. Nah, OU didn't run Brent Venables out. I made that video. Go stop with the we ran Brent Venables off. I mean, I get why you saying that or why you think that. He wanted to leave. Right? I mean, no, he probably didn't want to be a co-defensive coordinator, but he also was on record like, nah, I like Mike. And when we were co-defensive coordinators or when I was working alongside him as opposed to under him, everything was clicking. I was looking forward to that, but I got a better offer. And he's happy at Clemson, and he's got his national title as a defensive coordinator. And he's got 6 dudes playing defensive line that are going to play in the NFL next year. Brent's fine. All right, we're going to wrap it up here in just a little bit. So if you're in the chat and you're still sticking around, I'll shout you out, and we'll go from there. Daniel Lundstrom was good. Jay Jones was good. Nathaniel Reed's in here. CBR Swag's in here. Guy Keel's in here. Let's see what else we got in here. Tom Jackson, I see you. Aaron G was good, fam. Bill Weathers in the house. 405 in the house. Raw Material was good. Anthony Cooper was good. Rapper 1000 was good. Sean Stapleton in the house. F Deems, I see you. Let's see. Anthony Cooper, I saw you. Let me see. Aaron G, see you, fam. What else we got in here? Zach Massengill. All right. Rachel Herrera was good. Night, Rachel. Let me see. Johnny IBN, I see you. Whale, I see you. Dave Rodriguez, I see you. Clint Johnson, I see you. Stephen Gordon, I see you. Let me see. Michael Taylor, I see you. Shane Brasher, I see you. Willie, I see you. Doc! Appreciate that, Doc. Alec, I see you. Big Tex in the house. Willie was good. Highlight Greatness, I see you. Stuart Yamashita, I think. Hope I didn't mess that up. The Bright Red Elephant, I see you. Jay, I see you. RC, I see you. Rudy, I see you. Cole, I see you. Chris, I see you. See K Vinci out here. Double Ace was good. Trace Hendrickson was good. Q Ball in the house. Jolted, I see you. Beach was good. What else we got in here? Anybody else? Eric Griffin was good. Ryan Adams was good. Kevin Song in the house. William Zabala was good. Caleb Kelly's probably redshirting. Matthew Walker was good. LaDante was good. Carvin Jackson was good. Robert Lane is out. Appreciate you. Don King, I appreciate you. JD, CNC fan, I'll see you. Raw Materials out. Grant Aiken, I'll see you. Dave Rodriguez is out. Brian Llewellyn was good. Kim was good. Anthony Cooper, deuces. Mike Hallegren, deuces. Bradley Carragher, appreciate you. Let me see. Tom Jackson, I see you. Carson Glass is out. Richard Young's out. Scott Williams, good. Unimitsu, mama! Daniel Lundstrom was good. Greg Tate's out. Sean Winters is out. Brandon Rader. Ain't gonna sleep well. Probably not, yeah. Greg Wellesley, I see you. Dieter Cross is out. Paul Caldall, I think. First time in live stream. I appreciate that, fam. I know it's a big deal for folks to chat in. I appreciate that. Common Good is out. Dakota Green's out. Will Rouse is out. Jacob Tabor. Sean Stapleton. Gregory Rayford. Terry! Good night. Let me see. Bear, I'll see you. Trenton is out. Let's see. Ferdinand, I'll see you. Preston Woods is out. Bruce Jordan's out. Laramie Raymond, see you, fam. What else we got in here? Mike McCoy's out. Sean Robertson's out. Who else we got? Anybody else in here? Bruce Jordan, I'll see you. Lloyd Grissom's out. Den 5 Angels, I'll see you, fam. Harold Jennings is out. Greg Wesley, I'll see you, fam. Anybody else? Sean Stapleton, I'll see you, fam. All right, that's it for me. If you like the videos, don't forget to like and subscribe because I upload a video every single day. It's always OU related, college football related, sports related. We have a good time. I will see you tomorrow. Deuces.